Hi guys, Dr. Mo here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a conversation about suicide. It's dear to me, and it's definitely something that we should oftentimes talk about with hopes of removing the stigma associated with it. In recent news, there was a St. Lucie County, Florida couple. They were both deputies that committed suicide after having a 1-month-old baby. A little bit about the couple. They were both deputies, had a history of being Clayton was a Marine, so he had prior experience in the military, and had recently, or within his time as a law enforcer after military service, had been awarded for actually performing CPR and saving the life of a fellow citizen. On the other hand, Victoria, who also was a deputy, was also awarded for saving the life of a person that was overdosing. So they both were true law enforcers and definitely all about taking care of our citizens. The one thing that I would like to do is, with this video, is give a little more about their background, but then have an open dialogue about suicide, because it is prevalent and people are dying at an alarming rate due to suicide. So a little bit more about some of the things that this couple experienced. Now, the reason why they committed suicide is unknown. No one really has a good idea of why. But we do have some speculation, and I can tell you that based on the articles and the stories that I've read, it seems like Clayton was a well-rounded guy. And in fact, many people would not expect for him to have committed suicide. Many of them said there were just no obvious reasons or cues or clues why he would do it. They had no idea that he was in a dark place. Victoria, on the other hand, as a new mother, she definitely was a bit overwhelmed. She was overwhelmed with, motherhood. Motherhood with an infant and a pandemic. She was more isolated to her home. She didn't do a whole lot outside of her home. These are definitely things to think about. So when you think about the couple as a whole, there are some things that are alarming to me. One is they both are law enforcement officers. And as we know, our law enforcement officers are subjected to all types of things in their line of work, and all types of environments that could be extremely stressful, that could lead to any type of mental condition, such as depression or anxiety, among others. Not to mention, Clayton, being a former Marine, definitely has been in harm's way in terms of being exposed to or possibly suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, which is very prevalent among our servicemen and women, as well as depression and anxiety. We also know that for Victoria, when you think about it, as a new mother, postpartum depression is very real, not to mention coupled with the fact that she lost her loved one. So it appears that Clayton committed suicide the day before, on December the 31st of 2021. And that is right before the new year. And within 2 days following is when Victoria committed suicide. So definitely, given the fact that Victoria had a love for Clayton, and the fact that she had a new baby, she had the stressors of possibly thinking about how she's going to care for the baby, coupled with postpartum depression. It could be a number of things, but those are things that we need to talk about to ensure that we are fully aware of the things that our loved ones could be potentially up against to prevent us from seeing this again. If by chance you are a person that is experiencing suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations, or have made previous attempts, by all means, I want you to reach out to your nearest emergency department, as well as, or call 911, or call the National Suicide Hotline. It's definitely, we need you here, and we want you here, and we want to provide you with the help that you need. We don't want their lives and their death to go in vain. Suicide is real. It's real, and it's happening all the time. And we want to make sure that you are empowered to do your part. Let's talk about this. Let's have an open conversation about it. Tell me below if you were a person that possibly thought about suicide or potentially have attempted to commit suicide. What are some of the things that work for you? I'm going to give you a few tools or things that you can actually do or cues that you should be aware of in the event that your loved ones are potentially at risk. We're also going to talk about the risk factors. Who are at risk? Okay? So in terms of, and by all means, this is not an inclusive list, but it's definitely a list for you to get started with. I would encourage you to reach out and seek out other opportunities to actually gain insight as it pertains to suicidal risk. Okay, but let's talk about the risk and also some of the cues. All right.